Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Terry.
And we're Escaping the Empty Nest. Hey there, and welcome back. On this week's edition, we're going to be sharing a very personal story involving Terry's family and the city of Karlsruhe, Germany. Now, Karlsruhe is a small town near the German-France border. In fact, it's only about an hour away from Strasbourg. And it's not a major tourist attraction, but we wanted to stop there because of the family connection.
So I can't remember a time in my childhood when I didn't hear about my papap's journey from Germany to America. He was 18 years old, and his parents sent him over to live with his sister in Queens. So they did this because there were groups that were forming that eventually became Hitler's Youth that they did not want him to become involved with. And so God gave them the wisdom to send him away before this ever happened. During his lifetime, he never made it back to Germany, and he had always wondered what had happened to his parents. And it was his great desire to be able to go back to Karlsruhe and see if he could find where his parents were buried.
Through genealogical research, Terry did find out the names of his parents and when they died, but unfortunately could not find out where they were buried. And even if she had found that out, the plots were usually given away to another family at a later date, unless somebody was keeping up with the grave, locally.
So when Mark and I started talking about our trip to Europe that we wanted to take for our 25th wedding anniversary, the one thing that I was absolutely certain that we had to do is we had to stop in Karlsruhe. Looking at the places we were going, it was a stop in between Strasbourg and Munich, and we could spend a couple of hours there doing some looking around, seeing what the city was like, maybe trying to find the place where he was born. Now, through the immigration records, I did find the address of the house where he was raised in, and so that was one of the things that excited me. But not knowing if we'd ever get to go back to Europe again with life circumstances, I felt very strongly that this was very, very important to me.
So when we arrived in Karlsruhe from Strasbourg, we stored our bags at the train station because we weren't planning on staying overnight, so we had to have some place to keep our bags. And then we went to the address that she had found that was the place that her grandfather lived when he was a kid. And it was a kids' clothing store, interestingly enough.
Which was very appropriate because Papa really loved his grandkids an awful lot.
Yeah.
So when we walked down the street and looked across at the shop, it was amazing because it looked exactly like it did on Google, with the exception of the fact that there were apartments above it and also behind it. So it was like a building full of apartments. Now, the immigration record I found didn't list an apartment number, so I don't know if that was where exactly he lived in that building or if it was above that shop. But it was very neat. The owner of the shop thankfully was able to speak English, and she was very helpful in letting us know that the shop looked like it had used to been a bakery at one point in time. And it was really interesting also that the person who owns the building currently, whose phone number she was able to give me, was a carpenter, just like Papap was. That was another interesting thing that we found out there. And walking through a doorway that she led us to, we could walk back into the little atrium area of the apartment complex, and I could visualize Pap maybe riding a bike back there or playing ball or something like that. It was very touching and a very memorable moment for me.
From there, we walked to Karlsruhe Palace, which is kind of a center of the city where the map kind of radiates out from that point. It's kind of a neat little layout there. But unfortunately, it was closed. One of the only tourist attractions in the whole city was closed on a Monday. Oh well, just our luck. From there, we walked through the city marketplace, and we took the U-Bahn back to the train station, where we collected our bags and took our next train to Munich, which, we saw what we wanted to see in the city, and we're certainly glad we spent a few hours in Karlsruhe.
So thank you for taking the time to watch this sentimental little video for me. Have you ever been to Karlsruhe? What was your impression? If you leave a comment below, we read every single one and reply to each one.
We've already documented our journey through France, and coming up we have, of course, more Germany, and then we go to Austria, and then we wind up in Italy at the end of our trip. So if you're interested in following along our trip through Europe, go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell, and you will be along for every step of our journey. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.